TGIF, guys, it's Friday, February 21st, 2020, and you're watching the Daily Mix TV. Hi, my name is Sean Patrick Hillman. The coronavirus outbreak is expected to cost the world's airlines a combined near $30 billion in revenue this year. That's according to the folks at International Air Transport Association. Now, they've reported that air travel demand is set to decline for the first time since 2009 because of fears around the outbreak. Now, carriers around the world have been forced to reduce or suspend flights as a result of the virus. This is especially true of flights in and out of China. Now, the IATA, or the International Air Transport Association, does expect airlines in the Asia-Pacific region to take a combined $27.8 billion hit and $1.5 billion for those outside of Asia. At the end of the day, the problem in airlines right now is, yes, of course, in the Asia-Pacific region, when you're dealing with coronavirus and an outbreak that, frankly, is changing by the minute in terms of how many are sick, how many have passed away, what countries are affected, those kinds of things. Folks, when it comes to an issue like this, you have to remain vigilant. Hand sanitizer will not cover it. You've got to use hot water and soap. On top of that, it doesn't help that airlines right now are known for not being the cleanest things in the world, but also the issues around what's going on with local governments. So the United States flew back a bunch of Americans out of a hot zone on a flight that was filled with people who weren't infected. You had a handful of coronavirus potential patients that the government did not disclose, nor did the airline, were on that flight. So you got people on that flight who were unsuspecting of their fellow passengers who have started to revolt and are threatening lawsuits, things like that. So it's a crazy time right now. Don't get me wrong. We need to remain vigilant, though, and not fight amongst ourselves. We need to get together and fight against this virus. There's truth in advertising, and then there's amateur hour antics, like what we discussed earlier this month with respect to the Planters Peanut campaign for Super Bowl. Now, Burger King, their latest campaign has the marketing and advertising communities completely divided. A new ad campaign for a moldy Whopper from Burger King has professionals taking differing sides of an argument that has in fact tested consumers' appetite for healthier, more organic fast food. The controversial Green Burger commercial comes as the food giant removes artificial preservatives from its signature Whopper burger and does plan to cut them from all food items in the U.S. and much of Europe by the end of the year. Now, owner Restaurant Brands is betting consumers will favor healthier ingredients and special effect-free food marketing. Now, that's got a lot of people shaking their heads right now. While it's well and good and all, food advertising is all about presentation, and this falls flat on its face. Had Burger King done a side-by-side comparison photo instead of just a moldy burger with a toss-away line, then that would have been different. But given the small attention span of the average consumer, where you literally only have 0.3 seconds to capture their attention, this smacks of what is wrong in marketing today. Yes, the notion that a McDonald's French fry from the 1980s that was recently found in the same condition it was in over 30 years ago, thanks to preservatives, is an important point about not only what we're doing to our bodies by consuming this food, but also why fresh ingredients are so important. But this amateur hour creative execution is just really poorly done. A moldy burger, really? That's the best way to convey that you're changing your ingredients for healthier fare? I mean, this kind of anti-ad always fails, folks, and there's a reason for it. Food presentation is everything in advertising. And yeah, there is something to be said about the truth in it. There is something to be said about, using anti-messaging to convey a point. But when you do it in print creative or in social creative, a lot of the challenge really is in that attention span. So if a consumer sees that ad, their eye gets dragged to it, they look at it, but they don't read the copy, and they only see the Burger King logo on it, then that's going to turn against them. So hopefully they did do appropriate testing on this, though human behavior dictates that this kind of ad really doesn't work. So, sorry, and I'm a big fan of the Whopper, but at the end of the day, I'm so turned off by this. It really, not cool, guys. Nissan is launching a new subscription service in Houston, Texas, as automakers look to court millennials who are less inclined to buy or lease their own cars. What you have going on right now in automotive is a little scary. Yes, auto sales have been flat or down depending on the manufacturer, depending on the platform, whether it's an SUV or a sedan or a Mini. Those kinds of things are driving issues in the market. Nissan's response to this, much like other manufacturers, is to try and test a subscription service specific to Generation Y, the millennial, because they're not spending that kind of money on a vehicle. So Nissan Switch will feature two tiers, a $699 monthly option for a choice of 4 cars, or an $899 option for an additional 6 vehicles. Now, the Japanese company is the latest to trial a subscription-based model, allowing drivers to swap cars on demand. That's also what Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, and a few others have been doing. Now, this trend has been faced with hostility from dealers, and you can't blame them. They're claiming that it hurts their business model. Look, at the end of the day, cars are not selling for a reason, folks. You've got the media touting environmental issues, the government trying to roll back California auto emission standards, which did help lift the smog from the West Coast during the 80s due to pollution. Then there's the financial impact that having a vehicle can have on your wallet. Many auto manufacturers are so focused on eliminating sedans like Ford that at the end of the day, your costs automatically go up as the consumer with respect to fuel, insurance, and so on for an SUV. Now, I hope that the dealer networks are able to come to some kind of compromise with the automotive manufacturers they sell for. Or the problem is we're going to start to see further declines in the auto industry, which we can ill afford right now. Banana Republic is teaming up with Postmates to make BOPUS even more convenient. The specialty apparel retailer is set to launch with Postmates its first ever on-demand delivery. The new service, available in New York City and Southern California as test markets, enables customers to purchase items online and then have them delivered to their home. Customers in eligible markets can select the buy online, pick up in store, or BOPUS option. Once they receive the notification of their items are available for pickup, they can choose to have a Postmates driver retrieve their goods and deliver them. Delivery will be free on these orders within the delivery radius. So, Banana Republic's sister brand, Old Navy, which Gap Incorporated is the parent of both, began offering a similar program in partnership with Postmates in December. Old Navy shoppers in select markets can also have a Postmates driver deliver their BOPUS purchases at a cost of $8.99 per delivery. Now, the interesting part about this is Banana Republic had a lot of challenges in the last decade. In the 90s and the 2000s, they had this incredible rise, and then they sort of started to fade off into the background because they failed to innovate. They failed to continue to evolve their programming. And unfortunately, that's a big problem with Gap Incorporated. Between Gap and Banana Republic, frankly, both of those brands are having serious problems, and we've talked about this a lot on the Daily Mix TV. Old Navy, on the other hand, which is more approachable from a pricing standpoint, they have had massive success to the point where Gap was going to spin off Old Navy until a shareholder revolt started, in which case they pulled back on doing that. If you had spun off Old Navy, the problem is that Gap and Banana Republic would have been left without a cash cow. That would have sunk the company into serious problems. So now, when you look at Gap, you look at Banana Republic, and you look at Old Navy, trying to do partner programming, I'm hoping it's not too little, too late. All right, for this week's Flashback Friday, do you remember this ad?
I'm Cy Sperling, president of Hair Club for Men, with some new important free information for men with thinning hair. Our own book.
That's right, the man who was famous for the quote, "I'm not only the Hair Club president, but I'm also a client," Cy Sperling, passed away at the age of 78. Sperling was viewed as a visionary while his Hair Club for Men ads became a pop culture phenomena. He sold the company in 2000 for $45 million and retired to Florida, where he passed away this week. Now, on a personal note, I wanted to take a moment to talk about an underserved part of our world that often goes overlooked: seniors. There was a woman in our building who lived in our building named Iris. She was a kind, gentle, and fun-loving older senior who was living on her own. Every day, she would take her foldable shopping cart down the block and do her grocery shopping for the day, often stopping along her way to chat with some of the characters in our neighborhood, which is Hell's Kitchen and Hudson Yards. Now, she had a lot of friends around here, but no family to speak of. Before Thanksgiving, she had a terrible fall while on her errands and was hospitalized. She was then transferred to a physical rehabilitation facility for seniors. Well, sadly, Iris passed away this week. Now, I don't bring this up for sympathy, but more for a hope that you're going to hear me and take a more active role in your community, particularly with seniors. Many of them are alone. Many don't have a support system. Please, be as kind as Iris was. Reach out to your elder neighbors and just make sure they're okay. I interacted with Iris as much as I could. She would always say hi to our dogs and often ask me how Kylie was if she didn't see her for a couple of days. And she would also ask Kylie, if she didn't see me for a couple of days, how I was doing. My point is simple. We're all getting older. The old adage, treat others the way that you want to be treated, certainly comes to mind. Iris is the best example of someone who fell through the cracks in our system. She passed away alone, and that's not right for a woman who walked this earth for over 80 years. Please, I implore you, take a moment to look around you. If there's a senior or seniors in your community, take the time to spend with them. Learn about their lives, learn about their adventures, tell their stories to other people. The more that we can impart upon the youth of our world about their experiences, the better off tomorrow will be, and you will put a smile on a senior's face in the process, and that is priceless. All right, folks, I'm out of time. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Daily Mix TV. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, comments, or story ideas, please email thedailymixtv@gmail.com. Have a great weekend, folks. We'll see you on Monday.